All right, welcome to Game Debate, where every Wednesday a group of us four, the panel, the Yavin Four Horsemen, every one of us individually will select a topic and we'll all debate it. It's pretty simple.
Yep.
Every Wednesday, and we're gonna start this week off with a topic from our. Oh, I got introduced the panel.
Introduce the panel, Nick.
The new champion of coolest background will be Leaf Outs.
Come on.
We're all, we've taken a bow, and he has to go back to the car for the next 4.
Yeah, next time back to the car.
That's I mean, I got some cooler stuff. It's just like,
Oh yeah, the
Look,
Odyssey.
he's flexing on us, guys. Nate, pull your shit out. Wheel your shit. I'm gonna wheel my shit over here. Yes.
oh,
My God, boys, we did gain 5 subscribers for that one move, the pelvic thrust. Forget the like button, click Nate's pelvis. All right, the supermodel on the screen, that is Mr. Nate Merritt. Down there is Will Johnson. But anyways, this week we're going to start with an awesome topic Nate has, and that's what's your favorite arcade ever.
Oh man.
And the way we're going to approach it is everyone will give their top 3. We'll talk amongst it, and we'll go in order. Where's Nate's topic? He will have the floor first. Nate, what are your top 3 favorite arcade cabinets / machines ever?
Well, let me get started with a little bit of a background. So probably just like most of you other guys, there was no arcades nearby, and you had to drive at least an hour away to get to a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to guess it's the same pretty much for all of us. So whenever we got to go to an arcade, it was like an epic event. So it was like we saved quarters for months just to be able to go to the mall, Huntington Mall, to go to the arcade.
It's the opening scene in Pixels. Cheap Trick, Surrender, coins, arcades.
It's how it was. It was. That was
Yeah.
the era, man.
Yeah, no, it's 100% true. So it was epic. And thinking about arcades, there's really 4 or 5 that I could say that we really pumped a lot of quarters into. But when a group of friends went with us to the mall, or when I went with another set of friends or whatever, these are probably the 3 that we hit the most.
Mm-hmm.
So my number 3 cabinet, my number 3 spot is going to have to go to the Uncanny X-Men machine.
Oh, that was the 6-man cabinet, right? Originally?
Yeah, it's the 6-man cabinet. It was phenomenal. I couldn't remember another game that was a 6-man cabinet just off the top of my head. But
Nate, you ready for this? You're gonna laugh your ass off.
I'm ready, Nick.
Will's favorite character in that game was Colossus. And Will, what noise did he make during his special move?
When he did his special move, he had the by far the best, and here's exactly how he goes. Like 3 times in a row. So and it kills everybody. It was awesome.
Well, the thing about that is, I think using that special ability takes your health down.
Yeah,
It was unlimited continues on console. So it's like, fuck it. Yeah, Will knew it was
I
coming.
love the Nightcrawler's move on that game. It was like,
yeah, the Nightcrawler, and as a kid, I always picked Nightcrawler or Colossus. I mean, that was always the 2 that I went back and forth. By far. But we actually in college, that's why that game kind of come back around to us. Because in college, we'd all go as a group of guys to wherever that machine was. I can't remember at now where it was. If it was still at Huntington, or we found that machine again somewhere.
You could run a
else.
full squad then. That's where
Yes,
it's at.
we ran the full squad, and it was amazing. That was just such a fun. I mean, people don't understand today how much fun arcades were to us back then. They just don't understand. I mean,
You're right.
It was
the
a gaming
companionship,
social outing. This is before the
yes.
days of conventions and such. I mean, that was your spot, man. Your people were there, you know?
Well, not only that, like at the time, the arcades were far superior as far as graphics and FPS. They were way superior than what we had at home.
Yeah, never a slowdown.
Yeah.
No matter 6 of us with 100 guys on screen, there was like no slowdowns. It was the ultimate.
Yes.
I mean, it was incredible.
Couldn't
Incredible.
agree more.
Yeah. So my top 2 cabinets are. I don't know which one I like better. So
I like this.
I can already tell. Now, as far as which ones I like better, they're probably tied. But the one I've spent the most time on is what I'm going to say for my number 1. So my number 2 place here is going to be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I'd say this was probably on everybody's list too. I'm just going to guess, but what a phenomenal game that was. Of course, spawned the idea for the Super Nintendo game, or well, actually
Now, Nate, are you going with the arcade
but-
game or Turtles in Time?
No, I'm going with the arcade game.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, the arcade game. Now, I can't hardly find the words to say how much this game meant to me, how fun this game was. I mean, at the time, we were all turtle crazy. I mean, everybody was turtle crazy. The movie just came out. The cartoon was going crazy. I slept in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pajamas. I had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on my bed. I mean, I had the sheets. it was just, we had a poster on the wall. It was insane. And to get to play this game with friends took it to a whole nother level. It was incredibly fun for me. So that's why it's my number 2. I didn't spend as much time on it as I did number 1 because there was one thing that was kind of taboo to us because we grew up in a pretty strict Christian household. And the number 1 game, and you could guess, would be
Nate, before you get to 1, can I elaborate on Turtles for a second?
Oh yeah, sure.
These are actually all really good points. Then we never talked about in here are iconic video game levels. We all know Mario 1-1. The Sun, everybody knows that first level in the arcade game.
You got that right, man.
April O'Neil's been captured. The new station's on fire.
You jump out the window,
and you're in there just kicking ass. That level, dude. 2, you know about you slept in hurdle stuff and all that. I've always actually referred to my penis as Donatello's staff. That's pretty cool. And also for the people viewing this, if you're a Turtles fan, September 7th in Lexington, there's an event called Comic Experience, and Kevin Eastman, the creator of the Turtles, is making a rare appearance there.
Wow.
The base free, $20 for 2 autos, killer deal. Nate, what's your number 1, baby?
Number 1 is The Simpsons arcade. That's probably.
I forgot about it.
That's the thing that we spent more quarters on than any other game. And I'll tell you why, is because we weren't allowed to watch the show, but when we went to the arcade, Mom turned us loose in the arcade.
Man, that's a good point.
Went straight to the Simpsons arcade, and you couldn't. I mean, obviously, everybody always wanted to fight to be Homer. Whoever got Homer, somebody else was Marge because she had the vacuum cleaner.
Vacuum cleaner, yeah.
That thing was awesome, man.
Yeah, but we always
sucks.
We probably went straight for the Simpsons arcade more than anything because we played a lot of Turtles. We had it on the Nintendo. We could play the Turtles at home, but we weren't allowed to watch the Simpsons. We couldn't play the Simpsons at home. We could in the arcade, so it made it that much more special to us. And plus, it was just so much fun.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, to see
here's what I'm saying, Nate. You nailed
the arcade looked just like the show.
Exactly, the art. That's the cell shaded like animation that was like playable video game. I love that shit. I love that. The Turtles in that one were beautifully done.
Yes, yeah, I totally agree.
You remember the bonus games in?
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
Yes.
And the balloon gets bigger.
I always lost.
Yeah, that was the game that I didn't want to see end because I wanted to see what was the next stage. What would I see that was on TV that was in this arcade? And especially as we got older, because I want to know what stages are in this, what characters are in this. And I remember one of the bosses was Barney, I think.
Drinking beer and shit.
Drinking beer.
Yeah.
A kid's game.
Not today, old friend. But okay, the simple yes or no from Will and Lee. Are any of his games in your top 3?
No.
Nope.
Yes for me.
Wow.
There's one on mine. Let's slide over to the champion of coolest room currently until next week, and I beat his ass. Leaf House.
All right, so I got thinking about this idea, and of course, we're all nostalgic for arcade machines, and I had some ones that my favorites have to do with nostalgia, basically. My number 3, it might be on somebody else's list, is Mortal Kombat 2. Actually, I loved Mortal Kombat 2 in the arcade.
I got some story about Mortal Kombat 2 for you there, Lee.
Let's hear it.
When Nick and I were younger, there was an arcade here in town. It was a small arcade, so our exposure wasn't great. We didn't have a whole lot of selection.
It was right beside the music machine. I remember that. It
sure was. And Mortal Kombat 2 had just came out, right? Same deal. At the time, for blood to be in video games was just unheard of. Okay, so Nick and I, the older kids, always be playing Mortal Kombat. So Nick and I had to we were too little, so we had to stay back and watch them play. And watching the older kids get the fatalities and stuff, I'll never forget that to this day.
Speaking about blood and Mortal Kombat 2, is the only time I'll ever say this line and actually mean it. Sega did what Nintendo don't.
Yeah, you show blood.
That's fair. Yeah. Whenever I would go to rent Mortal Kombat, I would rent the Genesis version because.
Same here.
Same here.
Would you agree that Mortal Kombat 2 is the best Mortal Kombat ever made?
Yes.
I actually believe that. Yes, I do.
Yeah,
I do too. I feel like it was it. That was
it was a pinnacle.
Yeah, I would go to Food City and play. My mom would go to the grocery store. She'd work, or I'd go shopping at Food City, and give me like a handful of quarters, and I would just pump them into Mortal Kombat 2. And I'm sure if she stopped to look at the screen, she'd be really upset at what I was playing.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to Walmart in Prestonsburg? Lee?
I did, but I don't recall like any kind of arcade machine there.
I'm
Moorhead had
pretty
the
sure
Mortal Kombat.
that's where the MK2 machine was at for us, was Prestonville.
yeah.
Walmart.
We had one at Walmart too, Nate. It was a
Yeah,
hot machine too.
It was
Yeah,
hot there.
yeah.
They only had like 5 arcades, and that was one of them.
You know, when I think about video game releases, I think about Mortal Kombat 2 because I didn't know it was coming out at all. Like I didn't know it was a thing, and then I walked into Food City and saw it, and it was just like, "What
Oh my
is
God.
this?" Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a killer story for y'all real quick. Mortal Kombat 2. Me and Will are at EB Software in the Fayette Mall, and we're going to buy a new video game. We knew Mortal Kombat 2 came out that day, but look it up, people. Another game came out in the same window.
Yep.
Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's
Yoshi's
Island.
Island.
And me and Will debated between Mortal Kombat 2 and Yoshi's Island.
Yeah.
What would take home, Will?
We took Yoshi's Island home, and tell you what, the deciding factor was the blood being the Sega version, guys. That was kind of like our
wow.
thing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
I mean, so we decided that if we're gonna go that route, we're just gonna go what we know. And I'm glad we did. We ended up loving the game.
It was that and Shy Guys on Stilts.
Shy Guys on Stilts, Fuzzy Wuzzies, man.
Don't touch Fuzzy.
I
All right,
touched
so my
the
number
fuzzy this
2.
morning.
My number 2 is probably not on anybody else's list, but it's all about nostalgia, man.
Was it number 1 or number 2?
This
Number
this
two.
is my number 2.
Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm in space. Ignore me, boys.
Number 2 is Revolution X.
Oh, I considered that.
Is that Aerosmith?
Yeah,
Yes.
I love that
considered
arcade
that.
machine.
That red button that shoots the disc?
Yes, exactly. That's what I was
Yes, Nick, that's it.
like. I love
That's
Aerosmith.
awesome.
I love shooting the actual gun on the machine and then firing disc at things.
Yeah, it showed rear end. It showed butts. It showed the women's butts had to have the thongs on.
Yes,
in
it
the,
did. Yes,
Yeah.
it
That's
did.
great.
That was also
Nate,
part of the
You're
appeal.
a monster.
when I was 10 years old, I used to wait. I played that game just to get to that stage.
Yes, sir.
I did too. Like, that's-
That's awesome.
It's
It
like
was
Duke
like,
Nukem going to Titty
you
Bar.
could choose your path, I think, couldn't you, Nate? Was that
Yeah,
the-
that's right. You could choose your path. Yep.
So I
I
would
believe that I think there's a sound effect every time there's an explosion where Steven Tyler is just like, yeah, or something. Doesn't he? You know?
Revolution.
That's it.
when he would ask you where you wanted to go, I would like kind of, look around,
Go to the bar.
Make sure to
Yeah, yeah, go in there.
see your butt. So it's like mom would be like, "You ready to go?" I'm like, "Oh, don't, I don't know what this is."
Yeah. The other kids made me play it.
It's so fun, man. I really enjoyed that game. I was surprised she wasn't more upset with that game than she would be with Mortal Kombat 2.
Kombat 2, that's really
Maybe
cool.
she's an old Aerosmith fan, dude.
I had a literal gun. Maybe. I had a literal gun, shooting people. So,
Hey, Lee, do you know what my favorite Aerosmith album is?
what's that?
Big Ones.
Of course it is, Nick. Of course it is.
And my number 1 might be on somebody else's list. It's Donkey Kong. Love it, man.
I wonder if somebody was going to do it.
I wonder if somebody would go that route.
I love Donkey Kong, dude. That's my number 1 by far. If I could own one arcade machine, it wouldn't be The Simpsons, though I love it. It wouldn't be X-Men, though I love it. It would be Donkey Kong.
What
So-
do you think about Mario Odyssey and kind of throwback to that in that game? How wonderfully done that was, that part.
I teared up. It was bad.
Yeah.
So,
It was so good, wasn't it?
yeah, was
They killed it. They
fantastic.
really did.
I don't know how I do this, boys, but I have a random story for everything. I got a really good Donkey Kong one. I saw this a day or two ago on Facebook. Now, I know I always have all these stupid conventions. Here in I think it's 2 or 3 weeks, the Indiana Comic Con's going on, and they announced their new guest 2 days ago. It's the guy
Yes.
with the record in Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
They didn't realize he's a notorious cheater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
on the
it's not
thread-
Steve Wheat. It's the other guy, right?
It's the other one, Nate. Yeah.
and on the thread, the comments are 1,000 comments. People just bashing him like he's a cheater. Don't let him
Yeah.
come.
Billy, that's his name.
Billy. Yeah, that's right. It is Billy.
Speaking of Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr. on Game Boy. God, that game, dude. One of my favorite Game Boy games ever made.
Yeah. It's different.
Well, all right. Did you have Donkey Kong on your list, or any of his on your list?
No, I didn't. surprisingly.
Wow, this is
Awesome.
good.
I didn't either.
Awesome.
Well, we'll take it home. Well, not really take it home. Set it up.
Right, set it up. Well, here's where I'm at, boys. Like, I'm kind of like how Nate is, but my experiences were limited. So, like, we didn't have the big arcades near us. So, all I know is what our local arcades had. So, I had the most hours into those. My number 3, this is going to take Nick way back, Daytona 500.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
God.
Dude,
really
Like,
good.
on my list here, I have 3 honorable mentions. in Daytona, USA.
Yeah. That's the one. That's the one I'm talking about, Nick.
Mr. Gaddy's, Moorhead, Kentucky.
Guys, I tell you, and I remember like being young and like I could do the manual transmission. Nick couldn't. He had to do automatic. So I was like 2 or 3 miles per hour faster.
I may not be able to do manual, but I can put the seat all the way back as I reach the fucking pedals.
He did have a disadvantage there. I won't deny that.
God, I still love that game.
Guys, we played it I mean, we were crazy about it. And like, of course, Nick and I are talking a bunch of shit to each other. You got brothers sitting in a 2-man racing thing. We loved it. And we played a ton of hours on it. So that's my number 3. It's nostalgia.
Time extension.
Exactly. That's it, Nate.
I could.
I want to take a quick side note here, though. If you ever play Will in a racing arcade game, he rubs, he's a bitch, he wrecks you, he bumps you, he talks shit. It's not good. It's not.
That's
good.
how you become.
I do like trading paint. That's why I like Mario Kart, Nick.
Hey, Will, you keep racing like Dale Earnhardt, you'll end up like him.
Oh. All right. On that note, let's go to number 2. Almost. So my number 2, Nick. Number 2. Obviously Nick was with me for a lot of these. Number 2 was because of a local restaurant called Jimbo's.
Oh, I already know what it is.
And guys, we go in there and they had like 2 arcades that worked, and they had the best burgers in town, and they had Royal Rumble.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
Yeah.
WrestleFest and Royal Rumble are classics, and they had Rumble there. And that game, I remember Earthquake Will. He jumped for he did the running.
And guys, my favorite wrestler was Mr. Perfect. Well, he wasn't in any of the video games at the time, but he was in Royal Rumble. So when I played the Rumble, I could pick Mr. Perfect, and I mean, I remember to put all the quarters in there to keep winning, because you could pay to win. If you get eliminated, you put another quarter.
The original DLC.
In there. It was. And I love the Royal Rumble, man. I just thought it was awesome.
Yeah, that is a great game. I spent a lot of time with that. It was at Paintsville Food City for a while there.
I love the fact that you can name a cabinet, and some other guy like you, Nate, knows where his version of that cabinet was at.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool.
All right, my number 1, and this one probably not be on your all's radar, but I remember the Music Machine arcade there, Nick, had this. It was a 3-person unit, Golden Axe.
Yes.
God, dude.
So, guys, I'm a big fan of that genre, okay? When you could ride the dragons and ride the little monster, the dinosaurs in that game, I lost my mind as a kid.
Yeah.
I just thought that was so cool.
I think that game's like early influence on a Gauntlet, maybe a real early influence on a Diablo. Like just that, oh God, that game.
Golden Axe, that's my number 1. That's the one I remember the most, and it was never busy. It seemed like the older kids were on to Mortal Kombat, so they didn't really care for Golden Axe too much. And I was always into that genre and that. So, and then of course I was early for like Lord of the Rings later on and other stuff like that. But I just loved that. It was epic.
All right, my turn, bitches. All right. So I have a list of honorable mentions. I'm just gonna rapid these out real quick. I didn't think anyone will give respect to shooters, but Lee dropped the Aerosmith Revolution X, and I always loved like House of the Dead, those type of shooters.
Oh, yeah. That was
the one a classic is Time Crisis.
Yeah,
I love
It's classic.
You stay in cover, your foot on the pedal, you go out of cover.
Yeah.
That's a real fun mechanic. They made like 500 fucking ones of those. And then the racers, like I had Daytona USA on here, like Will's talking about, and even like the Sega VR Racer, the F1 one, and those games are so much. And we don't get to play me in the Nintendo arcade units, but a handful of times I played the Mario Kart GP, and it's a lot of fun too. Takes pictures of your face and stuff. That's real cool. All right, let's get right at it. Number 3, I'm gonna be quick because Nate said it. That's TMNT, the arcade game. More at Walmart had it, played the shit out of it. Had an NES, loved it. Number 2, similar story Lee talked about. We didn't go to Food City. We went to Food Line. And when Mom went to Food Line, they have one cabinet, NBA Jam.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I know we could be specific, like Term Edition and all that. But, dude, Jam, are you kidding me? Boom, shakalaka.
Yeah. He's on fire.
From downtown.
Yeah, dude. And that was a game, my God, when you got it, holy shit, it was fun. Now, number 1, on no one's list, Virtua Tennis. I
was going with that one too, Nick. That was on my list.
And I don't think I've ever spent more on an arcade unit than it. It was in Fayette Mall, past Suncoast. There was a big theater or a big arcade. So anytime we go on the mall shopping trip, our sister Tara would be out looking. Me and Will be like, "Mom, give us money. We're going straight to the arcade."
Yeah.
And they had the big money arcades there, like the Star Wars trilogy and Pod Racer.
Yeah, the lightsaber battle one.
Yeah. You remember the Ace Combat had the oversized super screen arcade. And Virtua Tennis is the same way. And something I want to get at, I really want to mention this. The Sega Dreamcast doesn't get credit for being the true arcade port machine.
Yes, it was.
Think about it. Crazy Taxi, SoCal.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel vs.
Virtual
Capcom.
Tennis.
It was the console the first had a perfect port.
Yeah.
These great arcade games like Virtua Tennis, Crazy Taxi, those ones we're talking about, flawless on the Dreamcast. Oh my god, it was great.
I agree. Virtual Tennis was awesome, Nick.
I love Virtua Tennis. It's simple. Oh my god, we just played it so much. We loved it. Will was a tennis guy in high school. I wasn't, but he always beat my ass out. I'd always keep playing, trying to beat that son of a bitch. Boys, that's our best arcades.
What's the what was anybody remember the name of the arcade? It was the one. There was actually one arcade we had here in Syersville. It was at a local store called Pomada. It was just something that these three guys owned and they put together. It was kind of like a little miniature Walmart. But the only arcade they had, and I did spend a lot of time with it. I loved it too. It was a standing up racing game. You had a lever over here that was high and low, I believe, and it had a gun, had a blaster on it, and it shot ahead of you. And it was kind of like, it looked a lot
Road
like
Blaster, is it?
It looked like Outrun. That's what it looked like. You're in a red car.
Because Sega did Outrun.
It looked like that, but I can't remember the name of it. But it was a lot of fun. I just remember shooting. You could upgrade your weapon and shoot a fireball. And the boss of the first stage was like a guy who had a tractor trailer rig, and he would open up the door of that tractor trailer rig, and you had to shoot the fireball.
That does seem familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was the last. I think that was the last Fast and Furious movie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The last 5 of them.
USA.
And here, there's another honorable mention that was at Food City in that Saturday Night Slam Masters. That was a lot.
Oh god, I forgot that came on Super Nintendo, didn't it?
Yeah, Super Nintendo had a port of that, and we loved the heck out of that. I mean, we rented
that. Another one of mine was Rampage. I thought about.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Rampage.
Rampage. God's a good one, dude.
I know the 3-man one. Those 3-man ones are interesting, you know.
All right, Killer. For Mr. Will Johnson, Nate Merritt, Leaf Outs, I'm Nick. Join us next Wednesday for more action-packed game debate.
Do it.